Best of 5, of course, now in the grand finals as well, so we have that little bonus to enjoy. This has been best of 5 instead of a best of 3 is a big plus in my eyes. Love it. Very exciting. We're going to start in the top left corner of the map with the blue Protoss player. This is classic. And in the bottom right-hand side, our red Zerg player, Rogue. As we get this best of 5 grand final underway, King's Cove, our map. Start this off and see what we get. Genuinely excited. I do really think this is going to be fun. I just like these players, man. I just kind of like these players. And like I said, I think that makes this a lot of fun here as we get started up. Just the kind of guys that, like I say, definitely make it interesting a lot of the time as well. Alright, well, jump onto our official observer cam and see the beautiful game that they're going to show us. Love the Olimoleague. Hell yeah. The stream is wrong. Clem is not playing. Yeah, I don't know how I did that. I think I meant to write like classic or something actually instead of Clem, and my brain just took over. Apologies. Didn't mean to bait you guys in here with Clem's name. I use Clem's name enough on the YouTube videos. I would absolutely just lap up the opportunity to not use his name. Not because I don't like Clem, just because I just, you know, if there's a chance not to use his name, we may as well switch it up a bit. Yo, Ed Beer Norm, how you doing? Thank you so much for the 49-month resub. We appreciate it, and you know it. Thank you very much for supporting for so long. Thank you so much. Get you on the WardiTV tree after this game. Stargate opening from Classic. Hey, it's going to be a little bit more of a regular match. I wonder if, like, it's so interesting because Classic, I feel like, plays these aggressive builds, but I feel like I say, I was very ready to tell you guys he was going to do it against Shin. I wouldn't have necessarily said he plays super aggressive against Rogue. But I wonder if that's kind of a thing where he's mostly just playing aggressive against Shin, or there's something about that playstyle that he feels like he can, you know, take advantage of and so on. Yeah, interesting, because like I say, I feel like he's more likely to do it against Shin, but maybe that's just a coincidence that I've kind of noticed or picked up on. Like I say, I mean, this is a best of 5 as well. You don't expect him to crank out super aggressive builds every game, right? So I guess it makes sense as well to maybe open Stargate on one of the more macro-y maps, and I mean, maybe a map where he's very confident as well, right? Because this is, you know, King's Cove. You can take a lot of bases very easily. So if you were going to macro, why not macro on a map that can be very good for you to just sit back on and defend? It can be very rough for Rogue to do anything about it on this map. So, yeah, maybe that's just the logic there from Classic. Maybe that's the route he takes once we get this underway. Do-do-do. Take a few moments. Voidra is going to go after the Overlord here for a little bit. So it's going to go jump on top of that. Deal a little bit of damage. Nexus, Gateway, Oracle all continuing to produce through for the moment. So we're just bringing up as much of that as we can here for the moment. Settle this down. Beacon on the way out. We do have our Nexus on the way through as well, so we just bring a little bit of this and a little bit of that online. Get set up here for a few moments. Just take a little bit to get ourselves rolling with the second second Stargate and that fleet beacon. And okay, I mean, to be fair, this is Classic playing a bit of a creative style on this map. I say creative, but different, right? It's not just straight up standard. It's not something that we've never seen. The Stargates and the fleet beacon and rushing into most likely Tempest. I mean, maybe there's a world he rushes carriers here because of the map. We lose the Void Ray, which, yeah, would be worse if he lost the Oracle. Still nice to keep the Void alive because it can continue to Overlord hunt and, you know, information deny. Maybe even sit atop the 4th base location of the Zerg and force him to have anti-air there before he can expand. Definitely a few good reasons to obviously have the Void Ray still up. And it is going to be carriers from Classic, so that is interesting. We've seen so many Tempest builds out of the Fleet Beacon rush lately, but actually rushing into carriers, I could say a little bit different, I think, than what we've been seeing otherwise, as we just have ourselves the carriers coming through, plus 1 air weapons coming about as well. Well, Council, Forge, carriers all coming in. I'm just going to drop a little Revelation down. Just going to cover a couple of those roaches. Just going to grab those right away. Keep an eye on them. Steps still joining together. Settle down as obviously the single link gets across. Really waiting for these carriers to kind of come through and to show us what they're going to get up to, because I actually really think that they're going to very likely make something happen here, to be honest. I mean, you don't just build the carriers to sit them at home and play defense. Unfortunately, this is not quite the the Gold League heroes today, guys. I mean, very viable strat in Gold. Not quite as viable in the Super Gold bordered leagues of Grandmaster and at the pro level, so definitely expecting those carriers to get involved at a higher pace. And I mean, he's actually just going to sit there with him, isn't he? Well, he might just go with 4. Maybe 4 is going to be his magic number for the moment. Yeah, 4 might be the number he goes for right here, so that could be a possibility. We'll wait and see. Get this set up for a moment. Full carrier is going to start moving out. The other 2 should be here. So yeah, maybe with 4 we will poke across the map and see what we can do. Rogue playing with roaches and hydras, so he's going to even get neural parasites super quickly. Okay. This game is actually already turned into a little bit of a crazy one, I think. And going into a freaking neural parasite already feels definitely not quite how these games typically turn out, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that we are definitely getting a little creative here. We're going to recall the carriers home to deal with this attack, so there isn't even that many units, so they don't get to go harass a duel. This is actually going to be extremely passive from the carriers in the end. Well, maybe Gold Leaguers have it right. Maybe they actually have the true way of playing this build. I'm sorry, Gold Leaguers, I should have never doubted you. Oh, yeah. First time I made a comment about low leagues in forever, and I just got proven wrong. So silly. Never lucky. Hydra's still coming up. The neural parasite continues to come in as well, so we just get that all on the go. Roaches and a few lings still moving across. Hydras and Infestors just going to come moving about as well, so away we go. Just going to go jumping to the other side. Good Storm to start us off. I'm very excited to see if these Infestors can land some Neurals. It's going to be difficult for them to get in range right now. They don't have really kind of like a burrowed stealth attack ready to go, so yeah, we actually dropped some Microbial Shrouds to try and help the Hydras against the carriers. We don't see that every day, guys. Microbial Shroud is a very rarely used ability, in all honesty, and the fact we see it used at all is pretty spectacular. This happens maybe, what, once every couple of weeks on the stream? And again, we don't see a game like this very often either, so I guess it kind of makes sense with what Rogue is playing and what he's got kind of set up already, so I'm not hating, just, like I say, unusual. As the carriers onto the edge of creep for just a couple moments there to see if there's much they can do. The answer so far is not really. Not really. Hydras and the Infestors still gathering together here, so we get that all set up as well. It's gonna be having our look. Then our Spire continue to come up and online and bring that all through. And the Hydras and the Infestors just going to join up together, get settled down for a few moments, get that all brought up. As the Hydra Infestor force will go into the middle of the map, and well, it's going to see all those spores pressing forward too from Rogue. He's very ready to play the long let's sit here and let this game play out kind of game, which is what typically happens in the world of King's Cove. I'm so glad this map's in the map pool, guys. I just love it when a map promotes naturally long games. Yeah. Okay. I'll stop memeing, but like at least we could have at least had a new map that forces games like this to happen, you know? Like you know, it didn't have to be like this. We could have had a new map, so at least the map was new, and that would be kind of interesting. Instead, here we are on King's Cove. Hydra Infestor moves up. A couple of spores are going to fire. The fungal growth actually landed on some of the infestors in the back there. Those infestors really reaching with the fungals and actually doing pretty darn okay for themselves. So finding a little bit of value here and there. So far, we're gonna have ourselves the couple of storms going down too. Classic able to fend this army off for a few more moments at least. +3 attack, +2 air weapons. Obviously, air upgrade is going to be important when you're playing those carriers and everything, so those will come through for the moment. And +3 ground attack, and get ourselves with the air army pushing forward. Classic actually taking some steps into this side of the map of Rogue. He obviously is very confident about his army. I don't blame him. I think Classic's army is absolutely great for the stage of the game that we're in. So yeah, I don't blame the commitment into the other side and kind of looking for fights like this one. But of course, you've got to be careful of stack defense. And a defensively set up Zerg can obviously have a very good time against you too. So I think those are the issues that Classic has to try and avoid right now and not let kind of go overboard or anything. If avoidable, that would be amazing. I see those Immortals are going to press forward. He really is just feeling as though, like, yeah, I believe I can do this, even against all the stacked defense. So he is just going to commit forward. He is just going to send it a little bit for now. A couple of those Lings get burrowed up. The robot facility going to be nearby too. Going to have ourselves the Tempest, the carriers, the Immortals. All of that continues in for the moment. So we're just putting all of that online. Get that on the go. There's a little bit of Ling harassment. At this point of the game, you just got to do what you can. My problem for Rogue is he's just not rich. You know, we think back to that Rogue Gumiho game on this map, and Rogue was controlling the map. He had so much creep everywhere. He had so much control just all over the place. And, you know, you think of a game like that one, and you're like, okay, yeah, I can see where Rogue's in a good spot. I can see how Rogue's going to be set up to do very well here. I don't get that same vibe at all based on where we're currently at, right? Like, that just is not a thing based on the current map layout and the bases Rogue has. Like, he's starting to get creep here and there, but a lot of it's being cleaned up and pushed back again. I mean, his activity on the map right now is a little bit of, Ling harass, which for the state of the game is, I won't say it's pathetic, but it's pretty lackluster, you know? Classic definitely feels in control of this one. Now, in control does not mean you're going to win it. Right, we've got a long way to go. We've got a lot of stuff still to figure out. A lot of StarCraft to be played in this game, most likely. But, the fact Rogue is not building up a massive tank, the fact that he is not able to kind of comfortably get towards super late game, unit numbers or anything, these are all going to be big wins for you as Classic. These are all going to be things that point in the right direction to see a Protoss victory in Game 1. Just has to play it out calmly, because, like I say, there's a lot of StarCraft to be played. There's a lot of fights to be had. There's a lot of chances to still mess this position up is what I'm getting at. So, yeah, definitely a lot of time where this could look good, but there's definitely a lot of time where this can still go very, very wrong if you ain't careful with it. When the ship flies up to the top, As we take position right here, just going to be having the mothership going to go all the way around that upper right-hand side. It's just going to go over for a few moments. Again, a couple of Tempests coming out, +3 air weapons on the way, gravitic drive, so even warp prism speed coming up, so Classic can be a little bit more aggressive more easily with the prism. I mean, we're getting into a deep part of the game where you can kind of afford those upgrades with, like, you know what, don't really necessarily need this to harass, but why the hell let's not just get it to harass anyway? There's always going to be some value to be had, right? And +2 melee, +2 carapace upgrades, the Spire extra from Rogue. He's already got flyer attack upgrades on the way in. He doesn't have a great Aspire, so I don't know. He probably wants to start a great Aspire, or at least start carapace upgrades. There may be a great Aspire a bit further down the line. Maybe even just a second Spire in a different place could be good in case the first one gets sniped. Mothership gets found. It will recall home to get out of trouble. Now the Mothership can actually recall some units on top of these few lurkers, so they're going to get picked apart. That was a fun little moment as Classic makes a snipe on a few lurkers. Again, a lot of this game is going to be about controlling the harassment and stopping your opponent from kind of, running away with just harassment that can win the game potentially. So, things to watch out for there. Hollings run up the ramp. They're going to go a nibbling. Things going to start getting cleaned up. Cybercore coming through as well. This army just gathers together. And again, the +3 air weapons, the +1 air armor, all of that continues up for the moment as we settle ourselves down. And now, come back over. A few of those lings going to get chased around. And all of our upgrades continue through. Just going to be seeing a few Zealots warping in as well, trying to still get a lot of that online currently. So bringing up as much of this as possible. Highest in the back of that natural will come up. I was able to move around the map and actually going to see some pretty decent success in terms of getting some damage done, so might as well deny a base, but they're not going to last too long. At this point, I don't think Rogue's really interested in rebuilding Hydras. He should pretty much always just be rebuilding the Corruptors, right? He wants Corruptors up to fight that air army. This is mostly an air army. I mean, Classic's army is very good. We're talking Carrier Tempest and then a supporting cast of Immortal Archon. High Templar. I mean, you could not really come up with much of a better army composition. It really does it all right now. Nidus in the back of the main base. This is the sort of harass that might see some success for Rogue as this game progresses through. Might be the kind of harassment he has to lean upon if he wants to win some of these fights as we do come through. Those lurkers are going to get cleaned out, so they're going to get picked away at. Seeing our lurkers continue to fire away from afar again, doing well for themselves, I would say, for the most part. Just again finding positions. The fact that Nidus was successful is definitely a big plus as well. So very happy to see that. As we see our couple of lings still going down too. So that's all continue to drop. We're stuck on the unit tab. I mean, go back to the production tab. It's kind of more of the same. The unit tab was kind of interesting to keep track of who had what. Let's just see the results. Just going to continue to hang about here for a little bit. Again, cannons on the way, Tempest on the way out. All of that continues through for the moment. What I do like for Rogue is that, to me, he's restabilized on a lot of bases that he wasn't really getting to before, so now I'm pretty happy that he's actually going to get to those bases and going to have them. So we see the Tempest and the Carriers pushing through, the Overseers taking damage. And the Ultra Cavern coming up, +2 Flyer carapace coming online as well. Observer and the Oracle continue to come about. Just going to be seeing the rest of this army still pressing forward. Just continue to come through with that for the moment. There we go. Things actually going to get forward here. This base not fully mined out, so actually losing it will probably need to be replaced at some point. So Feeling's going to find some good success. Classic just unable to deal with that so far, so that is going to be good for him. Good for Rogue. Successful moment there. Oh, nice yoinks as well. Going to get rid of a couple of carriers. Now Rogue is building up a bank. This game is developing into a more traditional kind of... This game is going to, a slow down and people have banks and stuff game. Like I say, we were not really there for a long time previously, so... Definitely has been a little bit of setting up to get to this point, but here we are now. Looking a whole lot better. Extra Stargates coming online, the carriers are producing, so we get all of those coming on up and running here. Get that set up for the moment. It's still coming about just for a little bit as well, so in there you go. 3 more Stargates. As Classic just says, the one thing I want to be able to do at any point here is just rebuild into my air army. Make sure I can get that back up and running. If I can do that, I'm going to be pretty happy. So yeah, he's going to prioritize that right here. The Immortals continue to move through. That's on the way up from Rogue as well at this point. Another Nidus attempt coming through on the other side of the map, so we'll see if that can result in anything awesome or not. Again, the Bane Nest going to finish shortly. The Ling's still coming by. Nidus now completing as well. Interceptor's going to come through. A bunch of those changelings will begin to go down. Damage being done. As we play a little bit of the cleanup game for the moment as well. So a little bit more being done on all of that. There's a mothership going to go for a huge recall. It's going to come directly into this side of the map there. And that's going to be massive as we continue to fight. Massive play from Classic. One of the biggest plays we've seen in a little while in this game, to be honest. That is huge for him, and I mean, he knocks out a base immediately. Now, obviously, he probably has a Nexus recall to get out of there if he feels the need. Faster coming up, Bane Speed about to finish, +3 Carapace still coming online as well, so we get all of that coming through. Things really do continue through that set of rocks and just opening up a little bit of space. Faster and a hatch coming online as well for the moment. Army gets back over to the right side. Couple carriers still coming through. That Nexus coming online as well. So we keep building that up, get that rolling. More carriers in production definitely steps towards even more of that Stargate play. I mean, we've been on a Stargate-based army for a very long time here as Classic. That's not really been changing at all. We are about to go 25 minutes deep here on ley lines. Classic has 8k, 8k. Rogue has 7k, 3k. The banks are huge. The game is big. The game is long. But kind of just starting to split the map as well. For a long time, Rogue struggled to have bases. Now, Rogue is starting to get those bases. The Viper Broodlord gathers up once again. Extra cannons on the way out. A couple of assimilators are going to build through. All of that's still setting up here for the moment as the Dropper Lords are going to come across the other side of the map as well. So away they go. Let's see if they can have some impact. See if they can add any fun into this. Be pretty interesting, right? Some Dropper Lord action. Corruptors, I'm going to dive the left side. Maybe we can Caustic Spray something interesting. At the same time, do you want to risk the Corruptors diving through for that? Probably not. Probably mostly just checking where the units are out of the opposition. We continue to sit back, and again, neither player really wants to be the aggressor, because if you're the aggressor, you're going to be attacking into the static defense. Well, why attack into the static defense, right? When you could just wait for your opponent to attack into your static defense. Obviously, that's why you harass around. That's why you try and make things happen to slowly chip into advantages. But, I mean, this works as well. Bane's going to roll through. That's why the Bane Nest came up about 5 minutes ago. Start getting some Banelings just rolling directly into the static defense as well. Knock down those cannons and batteries. Open up that sort of a space. And do a lot for you, of course. So let's get over here. Apparently we're missing detection to be able to clean those up and push them back. They're going to get there though. Revelation comes down. And that's going to be all those lurkers getting cleaned up as well. The cleanup continues. Ay, ay, ay. And there go the changelings. They're going to all step forward for the moment. Seven Corruptors, 7 Broodlords building up as well. Moving across, Carriers and the Tempest coming over. Seeing where we can get to. We're seeing the prison coming online as well right now, so we get that set up as well on top of everything else. And again, just harassing possibilities opening up. We have some final upgrades coming through as well. That final shield upgrade is going to come into play from Classic. It's pretty much the last upgrade we're going to see as Classic starts to lose the main. This is not uncommon for the Protoss to lose their main base, because it gets to the point where it's like you almost don't want to bother defending the main. It's so drawn apart from the rest of your bases. So it's hard to stop those lings slowly chipping through, so you kind of just give it up and rebuild your production elsewhere. That seems expensive, but what's more expensive is trying to move your army into position every single time when it's just not realistically fast enough to get there. And then it opens up other bases on the map. You're also at a point where you obviously need some production, but you don't need necessarily all the production that you've had throughout the game, because you're at a point where you don't really need, you know, this to be a full-on kind of, you know, gateway rebuild situation necessarily, right? So definitely a factor as the 5 Stargates continue through. Carriers, Tempest, Mothership all join together here. And our army continues to move across to the other side, just making its way across him, getting in position, trying to see what we can do. If there's anything exciting that might go on. It doesn't seem like there will be too much excitement just yet, though. We continue to settle down as a few more shots come across. Just going to have ourselves the fungal growth coming through and hitting a little bit as well. It's going to be another time war coming down. Going to try and slow the advance of the Broodlords here. Unless you have the Protoss army actually going to get cornered into that far left-hand side a little bit. Here we go as Rogue is going to come diving in. Parasitic bombs are going to cover this army. And Classic has to drop the recall, but he might have dropped it way too late. That is a ton of damage taken. Classic's army gets melted. Now going to go into 7 Void Rays on the rebuild. Rogue just built up a set of Zerglings, so he's going to go straight into that. Oh my goodness, did Classic just lose too much there? Rogue is going to push because Classic obviously has to start rebuilding and has to basically see success while rebuilding right now, which is not exactly going to be a whole lot of fun. Oh no. This actually might have just been a little bit too much because these Corruptors go hunting. The Void Rays aren't up just yet, so now the Mothership and the Carriers all get hunted down as well. And Classic getting himself cornered in that bottom corner. My goodness. GG's, I think, as Rogue pushes through, and he's going to win game number 1 of this best of 5 final, by the way, here on King's Cove. So Rogue is going to get it done on King's Cove to start up this grand final in a pretty epic fashion, plain and simple. I mean, King's Cove being King's Cove in a lot of ways, but ain't nothing wrong with that. You can't blame the map. These guys kind of played to the map as well, but yeah, Classic's not recovering. The thing is, Classic just can't get enough up in time. I'd say this is kind of because he lost the main base, but I actually don't think that's true, right? I think he wouldn't have had that many more Stargates if he'd had the main base still alive anyway. There are the Void Rays that are going to try and make something of a play over here, but just don't think much else is going to happen. Have ourselves the Void Rays continue to activate. Corruptors and the Broodlords continue to come about as well. I mean, Void Rays will push the Corruptors back, but obviously Rogue. The thing is, Classic's gonna have to leave this game with like 9k in the bank. He just can't spend that much money quickly enough. He was never meant to end up in a fight that went so devastatingly all at once. Right? Like, that's not where he was set up to build back from, where one big fight happens where he gets wiped out and Rogue was able to come straight across the map. Because actually, Rogue has spent all of his money. So if Classic was able to spend his money, this might actually still be a game. He's just not going to get the chance to. And that's obviously part of the strategy. That's part of this way that this has gone. GG's, and Rogue is going to claim game 1 after an epic first game on King's Cove. 32 minutes and 40 seconds is what it takes. Bottom left-hand corner, we go with the Protoss player, who actually felt like at certain points was really very heavily controlling that game and actually was in a very good position. I think I said it at some point, right? Like, there was a lot of StarCraft left to play, and there was a lot of fights that had to be played out. It did look very good for Classic, just, yeah, you have to play it out, and in the end, he got himself caught in a corner and didn't have the production he needed to rebuild quickly. Like, that's what it came down to, actually. It was very close, because he actually had so much money. I think if he'd been able to spend all that money, he might have been able to remax. And a remaxed army versus remaxed army, maybe Classic could just win that fight, right? So yeah, it comes down to a very small margin in the end. As now we get game number 2 underway of this grand final. Here from the Olimoleague. Sorry, bless me. I'm going to chase our probe around for a couple of moments. Nothing too crazy there to start us off. Probe comes to scout. A little look around to see what is going on. in the early stages, trying to see if we can figure out a bit of what's happening. And there's not a lot's really happening right now, to be honest. Like, this is not super crazy just yet or anything, obviously, but you gotta be around, you gotta be checking on these things, you gotta know what's up, just in case something a little bit weird does start to come about. You gotta be ready to deal with that and adjust and, you know, adapt your build as required. Otherwise, you can die pretty quickly, especially against someone like Rogue, who is definitely one of those creatively aggressive players. Definitely has a few builds to frustrate opponents with. Stargate in the main base. We get that set up. Just going to be seeing the link speed queens and a couple of drones are going to come about as well. So we get that on the way. Stargate coming around. Wolfgate coming in as mentioned. Laser Depth is going to come up across the map here on Ultra Love. Remember Classic, when he played Shin in that semi-final, feels like maybe a year ago or so after the first game, but when he played that series against Shin, he did play very aggressively, right? He played a lot of like timing attack builds, and so this is now a second game in a row where he's going to play Stargate against Rogue. So interesting that he plays such a different style against Rogue than what he played against Shin. I actually do find that very intriguing. I wonder why, if there's any specific reason why he really feels as though or maybe he just, you know, wants to get comfortable in this best of 5 and he's, you know, a long series, he's not going to just rely on the aggressive builds. Maybe he just, like I say, maybe it is just he feels as though Shin dies to those kind of builds a lot too. I'd actually love to ask him. It's so interesting to have such a different approach. It is very possible that Rogue just deals with that kind of nonsense better, right? It's a very real possibility. Very real possibility. Overlord going to take a few shots of damage, so some hits being taken for the moment. I have those couple of oracles continuing up as well, so bring all of that through for the moment here. Get set up. Oracle's going to be there. Queen's going to deal some damage, so a few hits coming through. Just for a moment or so. And the oracles will remain gathered together for a few moments. Again, the Queen's going to be there as the revelation comes down. So revelation comes about. We've seen the Roach on the lair still coming through here. The evolution chamber coming online as well. Oracles make their way across. You have a couple of oracles still going to whack away for a couple of moments, try and find a little bit extra opportunity. Just going to drop a stasis ward down. Queen and a few drones going to get caught there. So a little bit of damage being done. And the Lings gather up, the +1 and the blink coming by as we speak. So all of that coming through for the moment as we get this underway. I got a stasis ward already, see what we can get going for ourselves here. Crawler going to whack away. Oracle's going to take some shots of damage right from the start. So a few hits coming through. Just again, see that +1 and blink all coming about as well. Is making their way over, and again we take position for a little while. these early stages. Get that set up, get this all rolling. I think it's trying to run up the front, just trying to see if there's any potential damage coming through there. Not really just yet. It's going to be seeing the Stalkers, though, hitting this right-hand side. And this fourth base will go down. So we lose one hatchery here. Transfuse it, try and keep it alive, but this is just a very standard blink time that Rogue is not really ready for. Not well enough. So he ends up in some trouble. I mean, on his way to his infestation, but Hydra Den is down and Hydras are producing, so those are coming through for the moment. Stalkers coming about, going to be making their way across right now. And coming over, see if there's any possibility. Staying active is nice, but it does leave you open to counterattacks like this. There's obviously a lot of reason to have map control in the matchup as a Protoss player, but you got to be just very ready to deal with moments like this where those units do start to run through the other side. Those lings are going to start connecting very quickly here. Going to start doing a lot of damage right away. Those lings continue on to the mineral line, and quite a few probes should start to really drop down. I mean, that is going to be a couple going down. We have to work ourselves through some static defense at first, which is why it wasn't a more immediate setup. Let's do attack, +1 armor coming online. The extended thermal lance and the charge coming about as well. Continue to come through. Just going to see the stasis ward coming down as well to get that ready. Yeah, in position. The temple archives also building up for the moment. Lurkers and the lings continue to come by. Plasma Spine is going to be a part of that. Stasis ward's going to capture a few lings. Classic is on 4 Colossus already, which is obviously pretty nuts. That is a... that's just a lot of Colossus to have. Plain and simple, that is a lot of Colossus to have as we do knock through a couple of Zerglings as we go. The damage still very much so being done here as we actually drop another little revelation down. Keeping track of that army, knowing where it's at every point in time. Classic just kind of dotting his I's and crossing his T's in this game for the moment in terms of being set up in a good position. How does he try and approach fighting the Lurkers, though? Because that's going to be a whole new challenge. That's going to be something he has to kind of deal with at some point. Otherwise, you're just never going to get to attack the Zerg. Stalkers, Colossus coming back down the bottom as well. And make their way over here. And +2 missiles, +1 melee coming about. Just going to be seeing the upgrades all coming through. The Immortals still coming in. And he's going to get caught in the stasis ward on the bottom side as well. So just going to be a little bit of a catch on that. These guys are really trying to get through. We see a lot of counterattacks from Rogue. Definitely trying to do anything he can to kind of play around the army of his opponent, it would seem. Definitely not being too big a fan of just ending up in some very normal fights, which makes a whole lot of sense, obviously. No surprises there. He wants to fight a massive Protoss player, a Protoss army that has 4 Colossus involved. And to be fair, he's also playing the Lurkers, which just want to be set up defensively. And if you can actually pull the units around with the Lings on the run-bys, you can then actually have a lot more success with your Lurkers, because obviously your Lurkers may actually be able to get into position again. Right now, until that happens, your Lurkers do have to sit a bit more back. They do have to play a little bit more carefully, so that makes a lot of sense. Seeing our +3 attack, +2 armor, all on the way out as well, so we continue to bring that through for the moment. And Spire on the way up from Rogue as well, so some options for deeper into this game still on the way up and being established. And actually do start to try and put ourselves in position on the other side of the map here with this group of units. Can that succeed at all? Can that be good enough? So far, the answer is seemingly going to be no. Not to break through, at least. I mean, it's fine to get a bit of pressure going, though. See a little bit of that coming in right away here. More storms, and those lurkers are still going to take some pretty big hits. There's a few more shots coming about. Coming in for the moment. Protoss really need to fight down this ramp. As they do try and get there, just going to be seeing the Lings taking some damage as well. And they try and run up. I mean, I do think it's just so difficult for Rogue right now to deal with these Colossus. Maybe that's what the Spy is going to help him out with in a big way. Get that Colossus count somewhat under control, maybe, would be really nice. Just going to push on forward. These Archons are going to melt as we do really run into the Lurkers. But it's kind of a necessary evil. Classic needs to clean this up, and it is working for him. He is getting the cleanup here. So this is going to benefit him in a big way. As the Fusils continue to go in on the other side, they'll continue to deal some damage as well. And we are going to settle down with a GG in favor of Classic. Oh, Classic holds on against the Lurker push of Rogue because he played a pretty good game. Like I said, I do think there was moments where Rogue was actually a little bit susceptible to just dying, but he held on. He left corner of the map. Our blue Zerg play here. This is Rogue. He takes on the red Protoss in the upper right corner of the map. We have ourselves Classic. Get this underway. Game number 3 of our series. Leylines our battlefield. Let's see what we get. As we drop a gateway down at the front just to start us off. Get this underway. Get this all started. Just for the moment. Probe coming across, gateway coming through, gets settled down. Probe moving about, drones are going to come over for a little bit. Moving around right here. Actually, the Nexus coming online. Get this settled. And we take a few moments to this off as, again, the Nexus and the Cybercore all coming in. Get going here for the moment. It's game 3 getting up and rolling. As we do have our hatchery and our pool continue to come online. Probe gets chased out. Drone coming around as well. That's set up. Going to be seeing the Adept going to chrono boost out for a little bit here, so just going to bring that through for the moment. And Link Speed coming online, the Stargate is coming up. We got ourselves a couple of drones on the way in as well. Again, just a Stargate opening from. I'm really mesmerized. You guys probably can tell I'm pretty mesmerized by the fact he's just playing Stargate after he was so crazy earlier. I wonder if he really just feels as though maybe I mean maybe it's a different angle from what I've already suggested. Maybe he feels like he has to all-in Shin versus against Rogue. He's like, you know what? Give me the macro game. I really believe in myself in the macro game against you. I wonder if, honestly, like I say, I'm mesmerized by it just because it's such a stark contrast from the semi-final to the final in terms of choice of style here from Classic. So yeah, fascinating stuff. Gonna be seeing the Adept gonna come shading about as well, trying to see what else they get going there for a couple of moments. We're gonna activate. Zergling gonna get chased down for a few moments as well. It's just gonna punch that around for a little bit there and deal some extra damage. I'm just gonna get a catch. Nothing super crazy as we do see the gateway and the Nexus continue to come online. Just getting going. The Void Ray comes over as well. So yeah, we've got this Nexus coming through. Just gonna have the Twilight Council building up as well. So we bring all of that in. Got all of this going right here. Fortunately, the Twilight Council are going to make their way over as well. It's just going to get our tech really online right now here from Classic. Get all of this going. Continue to get settled down for the moment. Let's see. Fortune Twilight going to give us that blink setup that we saw in the previous game as well. There's a lot of potential there, right, with that blink setup, I think. So, a lot to like about it. I mean, he did very well with the blink setup initially. Obviously, set him up into a game that he ended up winning. So, I'm not really complain about him. Going into that one more time, I think that's a great decision. I'm a fan. I am a fan. We've seen the Adept's going to continue to shade by, so they're just going to move up. Try and get in position again themselves for a moment or two. Around, just going to be seeing the Oracles and the Adepts together. Going to keep again a little bit of motion going for the moment here. See what we can get. As the blink and the +1 continues into play as well, so you get that blink and +1 both coming online too. Additional upgrades coming by for the moment. Talking the Adepts move through. Just gonna have ourselves the blink and the +1 as mentioned on the way. Does Rogue do anything special here? Right now, just Rogue speed and the +1 upgrades. What could Rogue do special? Honestly, there's not. I wouldn't say there's anything like immediately like, oh my god, yes, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, but I feel like there's maybe some possibilities of what Rogue could get up to make this kind of interesting, right? He could get very aggressive. Looks like he's just gonna play Roach Hydra again, so kind of go back to what's working. I feel like Rogue is also just very confident kind of getting into the lurker phase of the game, and if he gets to the lurkers, if that's where you want to play, then that can be obviously very good for you as well, so... yeah, based on what we're seeing, maybe that is just his continued goal for the moment. Get to lurkers, and then he's going to see how it goes at that kind of a point. Focus on the Adepts come about. Revelation going down one more time. Storm +2. Upgrades continuing by for the moment here. Got all of that underway. So yeah, all that coming through. +2 in the Storm continues to come up for the moment. Bring that straight in. Going to get you. I mean, that hatchery goes down immediately. We kind of saw that one before. The Link counterattacks once again from Rogue. Already looking to be extremely good, which is kind of what we expect as well, right? I mean, we kind of expect the Link counterattacks to be good from Rogue. That's what he's been so good at consistently in this matchup for a long time now. It's definitely something we think about when we think of Rogue. We think of just how good his counters can be. And that's definitely seeming like one of those moments already is... Order comes through, it's going to fire up a few shots, it's going to go for some damage. Approaches, Lings, Hydras continue to gather in, so just going to get all of this joined up and ready to resume. Stalker's going to get here. A couple of Lings going to get turned the other direction as well. Just going to push all of that back on top of everything else. Rochidra going to start playing. A couple of Storms coming by. Again, damage being dealt for the moment. We keep on going through with this. Not bad, not bad. Continue to, like I say, just trade it out. As the Stalkers blink across, Rochidra still didn't take a whole bunch of damage from this whole scenario. Get extra going on for a few moments. I'm just going to step up. Oracle's going to deal some damage too, if they can help out, but they're currently just dying. Not much I guess they can help with, to be fair. I don't know why I thought Oracles were going to start dealing some damage, but I'm going to say it's been a long day, guys. You know, Wardy Brain doesn't work as well in the evenings. As Rogue is going to really succeed in this shove across the map, and Classic is not well set to deal with it. Some more Ling's going to get through as well. I mean, Classics has been obviously susceptible to these Ling run-bys so far, and every time he keeps taking damage from Ling run-by, he gets into a worse and worse position that's going to become tougher and tougher to recover from, right? So this is becoming more and more of an issue. This is absolutely becoming something we need to figure out. Otherwise, yeah, I guess we could eventually continue to end up in some trouble, right? We'll have ourselves the other units coming around. A lot of Roach Ravage still on the way from Rogue. He's just sending this off of 64 drones. He does not seem to have any interest in prolonging this game or anything of the sort. So yes, he just continues to get himself settled here. Got more roaches coming online, plus 2 missiles coming up as well. All that's still coming in as we just see the Road Shadow going to jump on top of the cannon. Going to go for everything else. A little stasis water so popping off. But Storm's going to continue to coat that army. As Classic does what he can to hold, but there's definitely a numbers game at play here. Classic's tech units may just get swarmed. Plain and simple. Let's see what we can do. We blink forward aggressively, going to try and chase down some of the swarm. Try and nullify some of those numbers a little bit nice and quickly. If we can really stop that from being a thing, then that really could be great. I just don't know if it's ever going to be enough. He does push Rogue back. So there is the quality of the army coming through. And Rogue obviously not able to get reinforcements across the map in time either. Obviously being swarmy has the problem of you need to keep on being swarmy. And that's where reinforcement distance is going to become a thing. And now Classic's on the counter-attack. Classic's going to feel like he needs to counter. He's taking damage here. Obviously Rogue cut workers to kind of do this in the first place. But you know what, like, he cut workers to do this in the first place, but I would not say this is the most kind of, like, you know, it's still 60 plus drones, right, is what I'm getting at. He has some more upgrades on the way. This is not the most committed Rogue we've ever seen in the history of StarCraft 2. There's definitely one he can transition out of, especially, I think, with some of the damage he's done has been pretty reasonable. Storm's come down, though. Let's see if he can hold on. I think Rogue's economy definitely going to help. The fact he got rid of so much of the economy of Classic, so his reinforcements will be slowed here in terms of numbers that can be warped in. So yeah, that part definitely seems to be a little bit weaker. We've seen the Immortal Stalker trying to micro, trying to get out of here, trying to make something of it. It's just not happening. It's just not good enough. As you do see the Ravagers chasing through. As the tech units go down, there's no replacing those from Classic. He's too committed, and Rogue is going to make it work to take a 2-1 lead in this best-of-5 grand final. Rogue is going to be up and threatening to take the Olimoleague. Welcome back, and thank you so much for supporting the channel. As in the lead of this series is going to be in the bottom left corner, the blue Zerg player. This is Rogue. He takes on, in the top right, our red Protoss. This is going to be Classic. Oof. It's definitely been a fun finals. You know what it is? I'm so happy they didn't give us the, you know how I mentioned they only give us like the one replay pack for what they cast on the mainstream now, instead of giving us all the replays. I'm so happy that that's happened today, because I feel like with the length of this final so far, I would have absolutely casted so much in the earlier rounds. We would have been casting this one so late at night. My energy would have been completely zapped, so kind of glad it's worked out the way it is. Again, guys, I'm going to be back tomorrow as well for the Masters Coliseum coverage, so if you want to watch some Group B of Masters Coliseum, I will be live with that tomorrow. Obviously, a lot of different streamers will be providing coverage for you guys on that one, so if you want to watch somewhere else, no worries, but hopefully I'll see you guys here. Some StarCraft 2 on the Masters Coliseum. Nice to get to cover an event that isn't my own. Obviously, this applies to Olimoleague as well, because, yeah, being able to cover events like this really allows us to fund more StarCraft of our own, right? Because we can generate revenue while not necessarily having to pay for the tournaments. It really has a nice effect for us, so yeah. Excited for some Masters Coliseum tomorrow and Sunday, and then of course WardiTV Mondays on Monday, WardiTV Christmas Eve games on Tuesday, and the WardiTV Christmas Day games on Wednesday. Christmas Day, that is your lineup coming up for the week in terms of WardiTV tournaments, in case you didn't know it. Now you know just how much StarCraft you're going to have to watch over the next few days. We're going to be live every day until the 26th. 26th, I take the day off. Question from a beginner. Zerg seems like it needs the most macro, or are you wrong? Yeah, Zerg is definitely one of the, I mean, it depends in terms of what level of macro, but Zerg is definitely one of the races that really shines on just macroing. Like, because a lot of what Zerg does is just having very good macro mechanics, whereas Terrans can get away with being a little bit more micro-focused and so on. Pros can get away with being like a little bit more build order-centric and so on. For Zerg, you really have macro. Like, macro is your secret abilities. Macro is your secret skill, you know? So yes, I mean, at the highest of levels, the macro is very high across all races, but Zerg definitely has a lot of it because of the way that the race works. So what's up, Kunijiro? Thank you so much for the 4-month resub on the Prime. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Probably murdered your name, but I apologize. Keep it up, absolutely. You know it, we don't slack. We're going to keep the StarCraft rolling for you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the stream with the sub. Appreciate it. We've got Prime sub sitting around, guys. Get it used, support the channel. Use it here, and I promise it'll get turned into StarCraft content. People have been asking for years, what is the secret energy reactor you have to turn Prime subs into StarCraft content? Well, can't tell you guys that one, otherwise everyone would be doing it, but, you know, it is a thing. It is a thing. Resident Glaze coming up. You know what? This is Classic stepping back into what he was doing in the semifinals against Shin and away from what he's been doing for the entirety of this finals against Rogue. And I don't hate it. I actually felt this worked so well against Shin. It's clearly something Classic's comfortable playing. We're finally going to get to see this side of him as he's down a game. Tournament live, grand final live on the line. He's going to turn to this as a build he believes in a situation like that. As yo, Tintifax TV, thank you so much for your Prime sub. And also Luke Newcomb streaming, coming in with the 48-month, 4-year resub on the Prime as well. How you doing, buddy? Thank you so much for dropping by, and thank you so much for dropping your Prime on the channel today. Thank you very much indeed. The Glaive's going to come soon. Rogue is going into the worst possible build against this, which is going to be +1 melee lings. I mean, he's not going to have +1 melee to help initially, and he's only going to have lings to help initially, so hence why this is pretty much one of the more miserable openings that he could probably get right now, as additional adepts will just warp in from that prism. Get that on the go. From the adepts, I mean, Rogue is on his way to the Baneling Nest, but I just don't think we're going to have the... I mean, we're just not going to have it, like, soon enough, right? Like, not having Banelings ready preemptively is bad, because you're already going to be chasing around and taking damage, and it's just going to make it very difficult for you to kind of really recover from this, or to get a handle on it at all. So this is already feeling a little bit tough. As we come across... It's going to chase in for a little bit. Rogue's just going to say GG. Apparently that is good enough. And we are going to get GG on that one. And Classic is going to go up to the 2 scoreline. Going to get all tied up. And we are going to go on the left-hand side of the map. It's going to be the red Protoss player. This is Classic. Bringing it back to a Game 5. It's been an epic series. It's been a long series between these guys so far. And now we get into one final game. On the bottom right-hand side, our blue Zerg player is Rogue. And away we go. Away we go. Game number 5. Deciding map. See who takes down today's Olimoleague. Definitely been a fun one. See our Overlord coming about, hatchery coming through, get that set up for a few moments. Overlord is going to start stepping through, going to start taking a little bit of a position for a few moments to get that all set up. Again, Nexus and the Gateway coming online as well. So yeah, we'll bring this through. Just going to be seeing the Cybercore and the Nexus coming online. We get this on the go. Just going to be seeing the hatch and the pool coming up as well. Eldorado for our map. Not really seen this map much today. I feel like this map either gets played a lot in a day or like very rarely in a day. Kind of player dependent, maybe even matchup dependent. Yeah, I love this one. This and ley lines I think really are my favorites coming into the new map pool. It's nice to just have 2 maps you're like really fond of, and then the rest of the maps just pretty darn solid as well. It's kind of a rare occurrence for the map pool to be such a pleasing kind of thing to think on rather than oh my god, what did they do to it? I mean, kind of feel like that with some of the maps they added in the end, but I still have good memories of just the PTR version of the map pool, so I guess that's fun kind of thinking on. Thanks for coming up, Voidrek coming through. Continue to settle ourselves down right now. We see now Voidrek coming up. Again, that link speed coming in as well, so we just got ourselves settled for a few moments. Get ready to rumble. Voidrek activates, gonna get a little bit of damage done as well. A few more hits coming through. Voidrek goes after the Overlord. And some damage being dealt, a few drones going down, bits and pieces going on. Nexus and the Gateway continue to come about, so all of that just continues through. We set ourselves up. And yeah, Twilight Council and the Robot Facility both coming online here. Getting that ready. Underway. And off we go. Everything's going to try and fight the Lyra's on the way up from Rogue, just to get an indicator as to what he's up to. He is indeed putting some tech on the field, so getting that tech ready. Getting that up and online. Going to be seeing a couple of links still chasing after a probe for a couple of moments, so seeing if we can do anything over there, make anything happen. Again, the land and the Rotron both continuing up. Just going to get that coming through for the moment. Voidray activates, feelings going down as well, damage still being done across the board just to begin with here. Oracle going to try and drop a stasis round, stasis ward behind the back of the third base, so just going to try and get something going there too, but not really going to see too much success just yet, so nothing coming of that for the moment. Just going to be seeing those zealots moving about, just going to be seeing the blings coming through. A few of those pros going to be taking some damage as well. Some damage coming through for the moment. Again, some shots coming about as we settle into this. Zealots and the Adepts together going to continue to trade for just a little while. Some damage being dealt, some shots coming through. The Prism gets into the main base, but that's going to go down, so the Prism falls. Going to take some of Classic's aggression away from him, so Classic will lose out on that. And that will be a slight issue for him. Missing that opportunity to obviously just keep the harassment going is going to be, like I say, a little bit sad. One of those things that just makes this game a little bit tougher for you now on the Protoss side of things. We're just coming across 10 drones going down. We have ourselves the game continuing through. Voidray is going to shoot. Roach is going to take some damage there as well. A little bit more coming about. It's going to be seeing the Voidray still chasing for a little bit. Immortal coming up, the probe still coming about as well, so we continue through with all of that for the moment. Just going to be seeing those odds making their way to the other side. And the Spire coming up as well, extra drones on the way in. We're just going to get there, a few more probes going down as well. Just going to be seeing the Spire going down one more time. And that is going to be Classic actually just going to dive this net hatchery, and he's actually going to get the third base. It's going to fall. So the hatchery will go down. That is a huge pickoff right there. Huge pickoff right there as we come through, and that hatchery does indeed drop. So that's massive. That's a big, big deal. And now we're just going to see those drones going down too. So 13 workers fall. Classic getting some serious damage done. Rogue coming across the map with a massive Zerglings as he will look to see if he can make anything happen here over the next few moments as well. So he's going to come straight through and see if, like I say, he can be impactful at all in this situation. Just going to be seeing the Ling Roach getting there. The Immortals going to try and help hold out, but the Lings do slip through for the moment, so they're going to get by for now. Have ourselves the mutas on the way up, as we already have Phoenix in production though, so Classic is very aware of the Spire play and he is going to prep against it. So Classic should be setting up pretty nicely against the Spire. This honestly looks pretty okay for him in that regard. Don't think there's going to be too many issues with this. Just having our mutas continue to come through, +1 flyer attack coming up as well, and all those mutas coming into play. Blink, Phoenix, Forge coming up as well currently. To get this settled down. Phoenix gonna come across, just gonna make their way over for a few moments as well. So again, just setting up, moving around. It's gonna be seeing them intercepting the Mutalisks is really nice. So Rogue is in some trouble, I think. I think he's gonna be in some issues. The fact he's not getting anything done here is a little concerning for me. You know, he's building mutas, they're getting shut down before they even really do anything at all. I mean, you can't justify mutas if you don't do anything with them, right? Second Stargate will come from Classic, and he's still building mutas, so he's really hoping that building more is going to net him the result he's looking for with those. Like I say, he's playing a dangerous game. I feel like that's such a hit and miss possibility right now. He's going to die. Void Ray will take some damage. A few more shots coming across right there. And the couple of mutas still coming through. Phoenix going to be there. Muta's getting chased back once more. Man, the Mutas are not having a good time. This all going to come crashing down for Rogue because he built some Mutas that did nothing, and very well might. It's been a hell of a series. Turns around, he gets a couple of the Phoenix, but, I mean, Classic's army is there to support the Phoenix as well. The ground army, a few Stalkers can do their thing and just help out in the air, or if necessary. It's exactly what they get up to. Phoenix gonna fight, Muta's gonna go the other way. Gonna keep moving around a little bit. Action taking place. Mostly these Mutas really are trying to find any witch opening that they can get. Phoenix gonna be there. They move around themselves, try and help out. Dealing with those Mutas. There's been a fantastic job from them. We're actually going to keep building them because that good Phoenix count's been very good just against what Rogue's been doing in general these series, which is ending up on Lurkers. Definitely you can have an impact with Phoenix against Lurkers as well. Lifting those up, taking them out of the equation, for example, is actually a pretty big deal, so definitely expect that to continue as well. Phoenix going to get a little lift off. A little bit of damage done. Slings and Banes coming up. +1 missiles and Bane speed continue through as well. So all of that continuing in right now. It's going to be seeing the Temple Archives Forge. A couple of Immortals building up as well here. So again, we get a little bit of everything on the way through for the moment. Phoenix going to fight from afar. Mutila's taking quite a bit of damage. Quite a few shots going off as we do have the Banes going to get into rolling mode, and they're going to start immediately trying to roll into this mineral line. And they succeed! Go Banelings go. Not really. Good defense from Classic. We split back over to the middle of the map, but we do have a bigger fight breaking out. These Banes are going to roll forward. The Phoenix, I mean, they're going to deal with the Mutas, and they could really do with helping out on the ground army a bit, I think, actually, because that's a lot of Phoenix. The thing is, if these Mutas all go down, these Phoenix are then just going to lift up every single ground unit of the Zerg. All those Ravagers dead. Like, there's no way they get out alive. You can even lift up a lot of the Roaches right now, just nullify the numbers and really make it so that you're just not getting anything out of these trades as Rogue. I mean, obviously he was able to trade initially, but his army now just melts away, and it is those Phoenix. Being able to get into that many of them and getting away with getting into that many of them is absolutely massive, and here we are now. Lings are going to try and cancel the 5th base. Honestly, if you lose the 5th base, I think Classic can deal with that. That is something that is manageable. Losing it once or twice is fine in this sort of scenario. Like, yes, you do eventually want to get that up and online, but like I said, I think it could have been a whole lot worse already. He's going to come through now, lifting up Queens on the other side of the map. I mean, they will just go for whatever they can find. Overlords, Queens. The value will just continue because you just don't have anything to stop them. You know, before at least they had to busy themselves with the Mutalisks. Now the Mutalisks are just gone. So this just doesn't matter. Queens keep dropping. Spore Crawler finds some more shots off onto the Phoenix as well. Damage still being done. And it's just going to come through. A couple of those Roaches getting lifted and cleaned out as well. Phoenix coming back and forth. Hydroden, Lings, and Roaches all continue to build into play for now. He's just going to get that. Drone's going down, 6 more workers falling, Hydra's coming about. We do see the roof spines and the +2 missiles. I mean, we're trying to get those Rogue, but man, just even more drones going down. He's getting massacred by these Phoenix, plain and simple. That's not even a question at this point. +3, +2, continue to come about. I'm in with all of this right now. Gonna be seeing the Archon coming about. It's gonna be having ourselves the +3, +2 still coming in, so all of that's still coming around here as we just settle down. We're gonna have ourselves the Banes, and the Hydra's also still coming up in production, so all that coming online, we get that going. Just for the moment or two, get that all settled. Again, Phoenix gonna still fly about there just for a little bit longer, just gonna still be here. Just in case we need them as backup. I don't know what else to tell you guys. This one's quite clearly at the point of being kind of done-zoed. As Classic's position is amazing. What does Rogue do to get back from this point? I don't know. I genuinely do not know. Archon's pushing up, Zealots and Immortals coming forward, just going to be having those Banes still rolling in. Archons are going to be continuing to take a whole chunk of damage for a little bit. The thing is, they are absolutely tanky enough to survive through that, so that's going to be no problem at all. That's absolutely okay. GG. That is going to do it for us right there. And that, my friends, is going to be Classic, the champion of Olimoleague 134. Congrats to him. Congrats to him, as that will be, like I say, that. Thank you so much, guys, for cheering on Classic and Rogue in this finals, because this was an awesome